Now here's a young man like me that we all can learn from. Now his motto is fail early, fail often. I mean, he's like under 25 or whatever, and he's learned that already. That, boy, he's got a leg up on the rest of us. Because it seems like that's what life is about. And you can do it more. It's easier to do it now in life than ever before. Like what he was doing, he had a little idea, him and his buddy, to take your iPad, one of these things, and be able to hook it up onto your desktop so you have a bigger computer screen. If you're a little bit of a techie, you like the bigger screen the better. I don't know, maybe they're going to watch the ball games on these things too. But so that's why you expand your computer screen, so you could do it anywhere. You go in a coffee shop and you have got an expanded computer screen. So he was trying to invent this little adapter to just clip it on. And what he was able to use is a 3D printer. Now, we talked about these before, and they're real neat things. For a couple bucks, you could print out any kind of, plastic or whatever to, put these things together. And he had to go through about, 15, 20 different, ideas that he had on the best design for that to put these two things together. So that's why if he didn't fail, and if he didn't fail early, and he didn't fail often, he would never get to his product. And so now he's got a prototype from a 3D printer, and he goes on the internet on a crowdfunding site to raise like $20,000 for this thing. And so it costs him very little money. Just the idea and working on this and trying it until he really got it right. And that's what's so important about so many things, because you're never going to get it right the first time. But you have to try. And you can't even design the first thing and get it right until you really put it into practice some way. And that's why with a 3D printer or anything else is the way you get it, to put it in practice, see if it really works, so you can try it again. So watch this. Adrian Velasquez? I've screwed it up again, right?
Velasquez. Silent U.
Okay. Velasquez. And
Velasquez.
Say it again. Who's I got?
Velasquez.
Velasquez.
Velasquez. Ignore the U.
Ignore the U. Yeah. A lot of people ignore me, so I understand. Adrian, you got an incredible product. Man, you're a young guy just out of school, Lehigh Engineering School, right? And you and your partner have this, sidecar for a laptop to put your iPad onto it, right? So you got two screens, and you could be at a coffee shop with two screens, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right? But what's so neat about it, you already got like almost 10 grand, on crowdfunding for this thing, and you invested next to nothing for this idea. Where'd it come from?
So when we were in class doing our masters, everyone had to bring in their computer. And everyone loves working with two screens. Like the larger your screen is, the more productive you are. There's studies and all that
really?
will prove that. But
so young people know that old part stuff.
I started getting jealous, and everyone started getting jealous when like these two guys would come in and they put in like their big like 17, 19-inch monitors like right next to their computers. And they'd be like, typing away and working all diligently and happily smiling while everyone's like, what, there's 13-inch or 11-inch like screen. So it was like, I have an iPad. Why? And there's already apps out there that allow external display monitoring for your iPad. It was like, it's a pretty neat idea. Like, why don't we just come up with something like there's nothing out there that connects it directly to your iPad, like there's stands and all that. Mm-hmm. There was one product that does it with the iMac, but nothing does it with your laptop. And like a lot of people that have iPads or tablets usually have laptops as well. Right. So why not maximize the utility of both your devices? Because I know like when I would take them both to class or when I'm with one or the other, I either use one or the other. I don't really use both. So like, for your money's worth, like you might as well be like using both of them at the same time. And like this little thing like just enables it.
So that's the product, right?
Yeah.
That's a show me. So that hooks it together, right? Well, put your iPad on it. Show people how that happens. Yeah.
So it's really simple. It's just, you just squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Slide it in.
Like that.
And that's it.
And you hook it up, and the other side.
I put it onto the laptop, but like I'm obviously Skyping with you, so like you won't be able to see, but you slide it in there, and it's got a good grip. It's made out of plastic skeleton with a silicone skin under it. That actually the friction works really well with it. It doesn't scratch it, and it holds it really nice. Like you can wiggle this all you want. it won't fall down.
So that
and it
becomes an
won't
extra
scratch it at all. Pull it out.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
So
it.
people who don't know, I mean, then there's an app you could do. You load into your Apple, and then that will give you the technology to make your screen double, huh?
Yeah, we didn't develop the app. There's
Right.
already a bunch of apps out there that do that. We recommend Air Display by Avitron. It's a really nice app. Works really fast. One of the reviews we got was like from a guy at Cult of Mac, I think, saying that it'll probably take you longer to decide
Oh, right.
which Air, yeah,
So-
which app you're gonna use and like set it up and all that, than just go out, buy and like use this. Because a lot of the feedback we've gotten is a lot of people do like having that extra external display monitor
Yes.
where they can like
Big.
move in your email and set everything else apart. Other people just like want to use it to like slide in their phone and just stick it next to
see.
the computer, or have their iPad there and just play around with their iPad, check their Facebook, check their email
Right,
independently through the iPad while it's right there next to the computer. And the neat thing is like, you might say that there's already stands that you can just like put next to your screen, but like, well, what if you're like in a really tight space, like in our video we have a scene.
You're on the train. You're on
and then
in a coffee
in your
shop.
lap, and you have everything there.
Yeah.
So that's the neatness of it.
Yeah, but it's one thing. I mean, it makes it more like a surround sound or surround screen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying like, why not two, like 3 screens? And like, yeah, I took a picture of that. I'm actually gonna post it on our social media site real soon. But like, it looks like the Matrix when you you're in your own little zone and you have a bunch of screens all surrounding you.
So how hard was it to set up the page on Kickstarter? So you're looking for 20 grand. You already got almost half of that already. You're just starting. Was that a difficult process for people, or just something anybody could learn?
It was a long process. Like you might think like something as simple as this, where everyone's been asking us like, why, like, hasn't that been done before? Like, how hasn't that been in the market? As simple and intuitive as it may look, it actually took hundreds of iterations of different prototyping and 3D
You have the
printing
first
and
one
molding.
around there. You have to show them the first one.
Yeah. We have a bag here full of like, a lot of toys here.
That's all. You're back to the drawing boards, huh?
There's like failed really horrible prototypes like this wiggly thing that obviously wasn't going to hold anything.
Well, how about the
then
one
there's
that
only,
cracked the
plastic
screen?
rigidity ones. Then our original prototype was these 2 welded pieces of steel
Wow.
with 2 rubber inserts. It worked really well. The only problem is, like, since it was made out of steel, it scratched my computer. So that was obviously something that we had to address right away. So
Not
that's
a
where we
selling
decided to go with,
point.
like, the softness of the silicone rubber around it, which you now see in the new models.
Right. So it's really going through all that iterations. I mean, there's not a whole lot of costs involved. It's just time and thinking and how, to me, it shows you, just the first idea off the top of your head isn't going to be the successful one. You have to really work at this to refine it.
The first thing we learned from our professor Mark DeBank, which I'll always remember, and like he's really proud of that, is fail fast, fail often, or fail early, fail often.
That's right. That's what life is.
And there really couldn't be a better mantra to live by, because even if this thing isn't successful, or even if it doesn't kick off afterwards, like at least Matt and I are always going to be very fortunate for the experience, the learning experience of being early entrepreneurs. What it's like to design a product, market a product, and get a product out there. So we've been learning a lot.
But you have it out there without having a whole bunch of money that you had to beg from somebody,
Yeah, no, that's what's great about Kickstarter. And like again, something like this, with all the technology and 3D printing and doing it yourself, like all we had to do was invest in a 3D printer and print our plastic our plastic cores,
right?
And then print the plastic molds as well, and then
so now you'll get the money and you'll go and get it done in mass quantities, right?
Yeah.
And send it out. So the people, if they want one to get it on the first batch, they could go on the Kickstarter site, right, and find it.
Yep.
And or you have a website too. That's probably easier because if people are after the campaign, what's the website?
The website's venostech.com.
Venos,
and there's a link there directly
V-E-N-O-S.
to the video in the campaign.
Yeah,
it's
so
actually easier to go through Kickstarter. but they can go through either or.
Yeah. Well, see, what I worry about, people watching this after the Kickstarter campaign's over and still want it, so we can always find you at venostech.com, VENOSTECH, and see the product of our education system at work. And you said the university had 3D printers you could use, and then you found out why don't you get your own, and actually,
yeah, they were always really adamant on like doing rapid prototyping. Like, okay, you got an idea, sketch it out, and like 5 minutes later, okay, do a clay model of it. Then like 5 minutes later, okay, do a wire model of it, and then like finally you'd spend the night doing a little CAD model, and then like the next day get it on the 3D printer, and then like if something didn't work, the measurements were off, then like okay, go back to the.
Well, see, even if you're not at the university, I mean, there's service bureaus that have 3D printers out around the country. For a few bucks, you could have them do it for you, right?
There's a lot of tech shops and all that, and yeah, 3D printing is definitely making its way into the mainstream market.
Yeah, and so you have a 3D printer, print the prototype, and you put it on Kickstarter and wait for the big orders to go manufacture the stuff, right?
Yep.
That's wonderful.
That way we don't lose any money. You know, you don't invest tens of thousands of dollars in molds that you don't know if they're going to work in the first place. So that's what the beauty was of 3D printing them was. Like, we obviously knew like the first 10, 15 to 20 weren't going to work. Yeah. And then like we finally got one that works, and like, okay, we're confident about this model. We're going to go into Kickstarter, and then like we already have the basis for the model, and then we're going to go into get an actual aluminum model or something like that will be, you know, product worthy.
Right. And now you already have over 500 people and counting. So if you want yours, want to be the first on your block to have one of these things, you got to go to Venostech, VENOSTECH, and sign up for that sucker and find out. Actually, it's a cute video and shows you what can be done in this world. And so even to be inspired about getting your own idea and how to do it. And so I appreciate you being around, Adrian, and doing this stuff and showing us what America really is about. See, look, you came from another country and you're showing us.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. See, so the idea is to get out there and fail. And it's so easy to fail. Even on raising money, it's easy to fail. So you have 3D printers that make, you know, the product 100 times, and it probably costs you nothing, you know, or next to nothing. And then you go on Kickstarter and the other fundraising sites and try that 100 different times until you get it right. We can't, you know, learn to hit a home run the first time up at bat, you know, but we can certainly try. And it doesn't cost you any money or much money at all to get out there and keep trying.